everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and in this video we are going to be doing this setup for a Reichbusters campaign play. Now first off, if you haven't checked out any of the unboxings on the channel, you're going to want to do that to get a better understanding of all the components and contents that come as a result of the Kickstarter for this particular game. There's one other thing to note that's really important, and that is this game can be played in two different ways. It can either be played in a campaign style, which you'll see here with the setup and the beginning of mission number 1 as we move through it, or you can actually set up for a raid scenario, which essentially has you setting up a randomized scenario, and it's a one-shot. You'll go in, you'll try to meet your objectives and win, and that's it. There's no carry on to the next mission. So in this video, we're going to set up for a campaign, so we're going to be looking very heavily at this mission book in front of us. Just before we head into the solo setup for mission number 1 of the campaign, this section deserves to be talked about because there is a rule change depending on how many soldiers you bring in as part of your squadron. And this is going to hinge on how many characters or soldiers you want to actually control while you play, especially solo. So when you actually read this at the top, it says playing with fewer than 4 players. Think about this if you're playing solo as playing with fewer than 4 soldiers. That's the best way to actually say it in a solo mindset. So what's going to happen here is if you're playing with 4 soldiers in your squadron, which is my recommended way to play the game, it's the way the game was designed, it's a squad. You should have as many people as possible so you have as many possible synergies, different strategies, different talents and abilities, personalities, card decks. You're going to want all that stuff because that's going to help you give you options, and options are good when you are in big time trouble inside of these bunkers fighting out for your life. So I recommend 4 soldiers in the squadron. However, once you become more accustomed to things, you want to challenge yourself, you can start knocking off soldiers from your squad, and it's going to actually technically tip the difficulty up just a little bit. It's going to tick its way a little higher every time. So if you actually remove 1 soldier, so you go in with 3 in your squad, there's actually no game change rules whatsoever to deal with. You just go in like you would if you had 4. However, once you hit the threshold of choosing just 2 soldiers in your squad, or you want to go and Jack Bauer it because you're that good with just a single soldier and really true solo it, you definitely get to take advantage of this last paragraph right down here, which basically gives you a free action. It states at the start of each end of round phase, 1 hero may take the open unlock action. This action or this extra free action follows its normal rules but does not count as part of the player's turn. So that's pretty awesome. It does help a little bit, but remember, you're still capping yourself a lot by not having all the available different combinations you would if you had a full squadron of 4. Inside the mission book, the next section that's very important to note is the setting up a campaign mission section, and inside of that section there's a paragraph that states to remove the following 4 cards. RB041, which is a spawn card, as you can see right here, and has a back looking like this, as well as 3 room features cards, and they're these 3 right here. We have RB185, RB190, and finally RB201. The removal of those 4 cards comes from this paragraph right here in the section we just talked about. You'll want to read this entire section over before moving into that first mission. You'll also, at the end of the mission, when it's finished, you can come here to read this section as well as all about purchasing skills, which is all nicely laid out here. But first, when we're moving into a brand new first mission, we want to talk about the campaign difficulty. So as you can see here, it says before your first campaign mission, decide which difficulty level you wish to play. This remains the same throughout the whole campaign. Now in this particular video here, I'm playing mission number 1 of a campaign, and I'm going to go all the way to This Means War. It says at the end of the mission, captured heroes lose all heroic points and items. Captured heroes are returned to the available pool of heroes, and the mission must be successful to proceed to the next mission. So it's actually quite a bit above average difficulty. The easy does it would probably be the one I would recommend individuals the first time they play, and that's the one I actually used to do most of my training exercises on to become more familiar with the game. So we'll go ahead with level 2 here, but you can want to push things all the way up to level 3 if you really feel confident, and it states inside of 3 that captured heroes lose all heroic points and items. Captured heroes are removed from the available pool of heroes. That's the real big one, and again, that's one of the keys with this campaign is you only will have specific heroes to pick from, and other heroes will be unlocked as the campaign goes on, But of course, if you're picking a really difficult level here, those captured heroes may never come back for use again. So we're going to start things off. As I mentioned, mission number 1, it's called Operation Fidget. Before we go through any of this side over here about mission objectives, special rules, and mission complete, we're going to focus mainly on the setup, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you through each step of getting the game state to the table as quick as possible. The very first step of setup is to get the tiles for the mission you're playing onto the table in the correct orientation. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place all of the barracks tokens, A, B, and C, as well as the exit token. The location of all of the different barracks tokens as well as the exit token is denoted in the book, as you saw earlier, and now they're all in position. The very first door I'm going to place is the front door. We're literally going to be entering into this underground facility in, and you'll note that the actual doors, if you have them in terms of the 3D doors, there's 3 different looks and styles to the door. You'll want to make sure that you're grabbing the appropriate one. On the setup page, it will have a 1, 2, or 3, and in addition, sometimes there'll be a lock token that will go on the door. Make sure not to miss those as well. So this particular door will be situated right here, so the entrance tile all of our soldiers or squad will be coming in on is going to be connected right here like so. Doors have all been placed around the compound. In this area, we have 3 level 1 doors. Down the 2 corridors in the back, we actually have differing doors. You'll notice the style of the 3D door has changed. This one right here being level 1, these 3 are level 2. This one, which is actually turned on its side for the exit, is a level 3 door. The door at the very far back that you can't see face on is a level 3 door, and it's considered locked per the scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and place a locked token right on top of the door. To finish up step number 1, we've now placed out all of the guard tokens in the appropriate spaces. You'll also note that the tiles have these dividing lines on some of the larger ones. These are what denote the different sections. So this one is in 2 sections. This one here is actually divided into 3 sections, of which there is a guard token in each of them. Some of these smaller tiles are simply just a single space in and of itself. The second step of setup is to go ahead and grab the room features cards based on what's shown inside the mission book. We need to find 1 office desk and 1 cages card, and we're going to shuffle each of these. These decks are comprised of multiple of the same type, and we essentially just take 1 off the top, place them in the appropriate rooms. As per the scenario, there is an office desk inside of this room right here. And behind that level 3 locked door we set up earlier, there are cages. The next step of setup is to grab all the different types of items, and there's going to be a lot per each of these different types. In this shot, you're seeing only 1 of each of them. There are miscellaneous items, medical items, weapon items, objective items, Vril, normal loot, and Vril loot. So you'll find all the tokens that fall into these different categories. You're going to put them into piles within easy reach because your scenario is going to specify which ones are going to be in there from the start of the mission. In this location, we have a miscellaneous item. Another one resides over here. And there's even one in this back office room as well. In the main area, we also have a miscellaneous item sitting in this area and one just above it over here. What's really important is a major objective that we need, which is sitting in this space. A weapon item can be found up here. That concludes all the item tokens out on the game board to start the mission. Lastly, we have a guard point token, which goes behind this level 2 door up here. The next step is to find the mission card that goes with the mission you're playing, in this case, Operation Fidget. You'll also see a list here of all the different miniatures involved in this battle, the different unit types and their quantities. So you'll see on the far right-hand side the number sign as well as a number underneath. Across each row, it's telling you how many of that particular type are going to be called upon in this scenario. So you just need to grab that number of miniatures. Now, I also notice that there's 2 lines here for soldiers. Don't worry about it. When it duplicates itself like this, you only need to grab 12 of them. So I've gone ahead and grabbed a number of units equal to the far right hand side of this card. So we've got 4 officers right here. We have a number of soldiers, 12 of them, 6 right here and 6 over here. We have 4 dogs right here and also 4 scientists. You want to make sure that all these miniatures are within easy reach as you'll be using them throughout mission number 1. To round out this step, I recommend keeping the mission card within easy reach as well as easily viewable, as you'll be referencing this card for attack values and defense values. To the right of it, you'll see some level 1 green spawn tokens. You'll be using those, so keep those handy. Those are the remaining ones that weren't put out on the tiles as indicated inside the mission book. To the right of those, we've got the items that we talked about earlier, but these 2 stacks are specific to loot. The normal loot on the left and the Vril loot on the right. Very important, as there might be loot drops as we take out enemies during our playthrough, so those are 2 to keep really handy. And then on the far right, in the yellow with a question mark, that's an awareness token on one side, question mark, opposite side, exclamation point. The next step is all about shuffling some decks and getting them ready. This one right here in front of you is the pre-alarm noise deck and the post-alarm noise deck. And we're going to be removing one of these decks from gameplay during the first mission, because you'll see as we talk about the first mission in the next video, there will be no post-alarm because this mission is all based around stealth. So if the alarm goes off, we actually lose. So this deck for mission number 1 is actually removed from play and not used. We then go ahead and shuffle the pre-alarm deck and place it within easy reach. Next, grab the spawn deck, shuffle it up, and place it within easy reach as well, and a second reminder to remove spawn card 41. And finally, for the mini cards, we're going to go ahead and shuffle up this wound deck and place this within easy reach as well. So all the decks are set up along with the tokens and the mission card, and now let's go ahead and deal with the pre-alarm. Next, we're going to set up the 1 to 6 pre-alarm turn tracker. And you can see here, this one says 1 to 6. The opposite side of this exact same one says 1 to 7. You're going to want to check out the mission that you're doing in the mission book to ensure you've got the right one, because there's a number of them. There's even more beyond this one you're looking at right here. But the one we need for mission number 1 is this side. So I'll go ahead and set up the track right here. The next step is to gather the pool of dice that come with the game, so you can have those at the ready as you'll be rolling these throughout your mission. We've got a bunch of attack dice. We also have some defense dice in green. The white dice are for noise. And lastly, 3 Vril dice in translucent red. Now we'll place the alarm tracker on round number 1. Next, let's grab all the reference cards for this game. We'll start it off with the unit cards specific to the mission card we grabbed earlier and all the miniatures we dug up. We've got the officer, soldier, dog, and scientist. We want to find the unit cards that go with them, but we want to find the correct ones because there's a couple of each of them inside the base box. So the officer has 2 actually inside the base box as an example, and the correct one to choose is this one. Not only do the stats align, but down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice it literally mentions campaign mission 1. That is the best way to check to ensure you're grabbing the right one. Plus, the bonus here is the keywords underneath officer, coward, dug in, and guard are fully explained on this card, which is really, really nice. This is what the back of the card looks like if you're trying to find it. We also have the soldier. So this is another unit card for this particular one. We'll go through each of these. After that, we've got the dog. And finally, we have the scientist. So I've gone ahead and added the unit cards into the area with the mini cards, tokens, mission card, and the pre-alarm tracker. It's also handy to keep this reference card, as it's going to give you a nice breakdown of the hero turn, the enemy turn, and the end of round phase. On the back side, you've got all the tokens, effects, and tests as a reference. And the final and major step of setup is all about the heroes. Inside of the mission booklet, it states in mission number 1, at the start of a campaign, only Sarge, Claudine, Quentin, and Red Hawk are available. Other heroes will be made available later in the campaign. So this is the core group of 4 that makes up the squad. Let's go ahead and get them set up. Here's an example of one of the trays for one of the soldiers. You'll simply go ahead, find the card that correlates to the soldier you're bringing into play. So Sarge, for example, here, we have some flavor text you can go ahead and read if you so choose. If you flip the card over to the opposite side, this is extremely handy because not only is there more flavor text, but there's also a depiction of the skills and the weapons that Sarge is going to bring in from the get-go. So from the beginning, Sarge has the squad leader skill and comes in with this lethal and versatile pistol, as well as this burst Thompson. Moving on to the second soldier in the squad, we have Red Hawk here with some flavor text. Flipping it over, you can see that we've set up Red Hawk correctly. The focus skill is in there. There's room for additional skills later on. We also have room for items to be picked up. We can carry up to 4. And we've got the correct weapons, a knife and a sniper rifle. On this side, we have Quentin. He's all about silence. He's got himself a precise bow as well as a knife, and he's got the skill Stealthy. And last but certainly not least, we have Claudine with narrative text right there for you to read, as well as the loadout for her. She's got the skill Vengeance. And flipping this over to the opposite side, you can see that we've correctly established her loadout. Next, you're going to want to find the deck of cards that relate to the soldier in question. So Sarge's deck is right here. And in terms of setting up, really you want to find the 2 cards that actually don't have a top and bottom. So you'll go through the deck until you find them. These cards are called feat cards. So you'll just go ahead and place them on top of the deck like this, because once we move into that very first round, we'll be drawing up 2 additional cards from the deck to go along with those feat cards, and that's going to give you 4 cards to start off. To round out this final step, we bring our squad to the front entrance. And just like that, we have completed the setup for mission number 1. Hopefully this was helpful in getting the game to the table in the quickest amount of time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in part number 1. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.